We continue our reading of Lest We Forget, a daily devotional by author George R. Knight. Today's reading, June 19, Adventism in Time of War, Part 2. Render therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. Matthew 22:21. How should a Christian relate to the military? That was the issue James White had raised on August 12, 1861. His first response was straightforward enough. Adventists could not volunteer for military service because such an act would place them in a position in which they made a choice to break at least 2 of the 10 Commandments. But what about if the government drafted a person? What if that individual has no choice, but is merely following the laws of the nation? To those questions, James White put forth an unexpected and controversial suggestion. In the case of drafting, he penned, the government assumes the responsibility of the violation of the law of God, and it would be madness to resist. He who would resist until, in the administration of military law, he was shot down, goes too far, we think, in taking the responsibility of suicide. For us to attempt to resist the laws of the best government under heaven, which is now struggling to put down the most hellish rebellion since that of Satan and his angels, we repeat it, would be madness. So there we have James' answer to the complex issue of how Adventists can render both to God and the government in a nutshell. 1. Adventists are loyal citizens. 2. Adventists can't volunteer because that would place them where they chose to break God's law. 3. But if they were drafted, the breaking of the law became the government's responsibility, and Adventists should submit to taking up arms and killing, even on the Sabbath day. How do you feel about his arguments? What biblical evidence can you marshal for and or against his logic? How are we to act if the commands of the government conflict with the commands of God? Now, we should remember that at this time, the United States had not yet passed a draft law. It was merely a possibility, but it was one that the young Adventist Church, still in 1862, without a general conference to represent it to the government, had to contemplate seriously, as the meat grinder of a vicious conflict continued to destroy lives. As Christians, we are citizens of 2 kingdoms. We all face the challenge of how to be faithful to both. This concludes our reading today of Lest We Forget.